You're watching Tech Edit. My name is Basil, and this is the Honor 600 Pro. Now, this phone really makes the case for long-term reviews. After all, it launched at £899, but a launch offer of £200 off meant it actually cost £699. Fast forward 2 months, which is how long I've been using it, and you get an extra 50 quid off. So this phone's never actually cost as much as Honor said it would cost when it launched it. So when early reviewers tested this phone, they did it against an £899 recommended retail price, when actually after 2 months I can say that this iPhone lookalike with fantastic battery life, tons of storage, really good performance and a stunning screen is much better value than it was when the phone first dropped. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. There's a lot I don't like, and a lot of that lives in the camera experience. I'll dive into all the details in a second. But before I do, if you're not already subscribed to Tech Edit, please do. It's where tech gets a more inclusive edit. Right, back to the Honor 600 Pro. You can pick up the Honor 600 Pro in black, orange, and white. And in orange, it looks very iPhone. Heck, who am I kidding? In every color, it looks very iPhone-like. But that doesn't mean its design is bad. 200 grams means it's relatively kind of not heavy, not light, feels reassuring in the hand. 7.8 millimeters, it isn't too thick, and there isn't a big old camera bump, unlike with Ultra and Pro phones. The front is breathtaking. It's a 6.57-inch display, and in many respects it's from the front that this phone out iPhones even the iPhone. With a tiny punch hole camera at the top versus a pill on an iPhone, it's super immersive, and the bezels around the screen are under 1 millimeter, which makes this whole phone look and feel from the front very premium. Around the back, you've got what feels like a plastic material. It's maybe a composite, and you've got an aluminium frame, all matte, all frosted, very, very slippery, and you don't get a case in the box with this phone. So do bear that in mind. You'll want to pick one up to protect it. I dropped mine a couple of times, and the frame does chip silver, but it did handle the drop really well, especially considering it was on a relatively hard surface. You've got IP68, IP69, and IP69K water and dust resistance. So it is durable, and the screen has a pre-fitted protect, but remove that and it's an undisclosed tempered glass. Mine did pick up a few micro scratches. So definitely, if you do want to keep this phone for the long haul, get a case, like I said, get a tempered glass screen protector so you can have a more premium feel than the pre-fitted plastic one. But speaking of the screen, that really is the highlight of this phone. So let's talk about it in a lot more detail. This phone's screen is very balanced. It's big without being too big. Like I said, the teeny bezels make it very immersive, but also you've got quality inside. Over 450 pixels per inch means it's sharp. It's also smooth, 120 Hertz, very bright. The 8000 nit peak brightness on advertisers is just marketing speak. It doesn't hit that brightness across the screen, but outdoor viewing is excellent, and it's just a really enjoyable display to use. A little bit wider than some comparably sized screens, which makes it great for typing and also watching and gaming on. And with the speakers, which are really solid as well, the whole multimedia experience with this phone is strong. The flat sides make it comfortable to grip landscape or portrait. So yeah, the screen, very good. Also in the settings, plenty of eye care features and customization options, so you can make it look and feel how you want it to. Also at that price, the £650 price, not the £899 price, which is the RRP. It's not competing with top-end flagships, making it one of the best, if not the best displays at the phone's price you can get. Let's talk about the camera, because it's simultaneously good and bad. This is a camera phone, but it isn't a camera first phone. You've got a triple camera setup. Primary camera is a do-it-all. You've got a telephoto, which is a roughly 3.5 times zoom, and then there is the ultra wide. All of them have autofocus, making it nice and versatile, so it can focus close up across all three cameras as well. Macro through to landscape, very solid laser strong foundation, but what really hurts it is Honor's processing, which can crush tonal range, up saturation, make shots look very punchy and contrasty, but as a result makes it feel less like a real flagship. Taking it camera by camera, and the primary camera has the biggest sensor, making it the best performer in low light. It's got a relatively fast aperture as well, and it's very versatile. It's going to be the one that you're going to rely on all the time, and you can comfortably crop in on it by up to 2x, and you'll still retain a lot of detail. It's 200 megapixel sensor, so when the light is right, you can really leverage all of that resolution, and it can capture some stunning shots. It's also the best camera for video, whether you're vlogging or taking video of something or someone else. With its larger sensor, you can create some pleasing depth of field, and stabilization is on point as well. Then there's the zoom camera, the Telephoto. 80mm focal length is really versatile, 3.5 times like I said, and it can focus as close as 35 centimeters, so it's good for product shots and video as well, reaches out into the distance. This isn't a flagship level Find X9 Ultra beating zoom. It won't be the best camera out there, even at the price for gigs with the Xiaomi 17T, for example, going all the way to 5x. But with that versatile focus, it's still an all-rounder. What can hurt it is honest processing. When the lights drop, it can be very aggressive to try and fix things, and also the HDR can hold it back because of that smaller sensor than the primary camera. The processing has to work that bit harder. But generally speaking, for portraits as well as product photography and anything into the distance, it's a really solid offering for the price. Where the Honor 600 Pro drops the ball is the ultra-wide camera. While it does have autofocus, which is great, it is a small sensor. So when you're switching between cameras, especially at a gig, for example, as soon as you flick to the ultra-wide, you can introduce a lot of noise, a lot of grain. For photography, computational processing can compensate for that. But video, the ultra-wide really does drop the ball. And this also extends to 4K 60. You can't shoot 4K 60 from the ultra-wide, only the primary and telephoto. So it isn't even versatile in that respect. And then for pros who want to shoot raw photo or log video, well, there's no log video on this phone at all, which is frustrating. And raw capture for photography is only available on that primary camera. So there are real limitations for enthusiasts, but for people who want to point and shoot, honest processing, while it can be very aggressive, especially with that HDR in certain situations, will kind of do it all, give you a shot that's ready to post to social media potentially, or it can go the other way. That's especially true if you're shooting in portrait mode. The background blur can just be super artificial looking. What's great is you can dial that back in the edit, but if you do want a more tasteful, nuanced photography experience, I'd probably look to another brand like Oppo or Vivo. Meanwhile, the front camera is actually pretty good. It's 50 megapixels, you've got an f2 aperture, and it can shoot 4K video at up to 30 frames per second. Photos look solid. In low light, obviously it is going to drop the ball, but pictures are relatively flattering. There's a fair bit of tuning that goes on, AI that is applied to the front and rear camera. You can pair that back to make photography look a little bit more human. I will say across all the cameras, skin tones aren't my favorite on Honor phones. They're either a little bit yellow, a little bit pale. Again, I much prefer what Oppo and Vivo does with skin tones, but you can still get a very good looking shot, even if it isn't always as consistent as I want it to be. What's it actually like using the Honor 600 Pro day to day? Well, you'll be interacting with MagicOS, which is Honor's operating system that sits on top of Android 16. You've got 6 years of software support as well, which is good going for this price, nicely future-proofed. Now, MagicOS Honor's UI is heavy AF. I mean, I had to get profiled giving my gender and age in order to get recommended essential applications. Like Pixel Flow is apparently essential for a male in their 40s. Anyway, once you get past some of that initial heaviness with the setup process, you can uninstall most of the bloatware in here and make everything feel a lot lighter and a lot more you. And once I did that, I really enjoyed certain customizable aspects of the interface. For example, you can resize home screen folders, etc. There are some quirks which are annoying. Honor's Magic Portal, for example, in Instagram, when you're looking at stories, you pause the story by long pressing, and then if you do that, it encourages you to drag into a folder and then continues playing the story. And some of Honor's interface enhancements are just too heavy, and you can disable them, and that's exactly what I did. But At the same time, if you do like Magic Portal, it can be handy because you can long press a section of the interface and drag it into your favorite application, which is just fewer taps than Android's standard share function. I guess what I'm trying to say is once you make this phone your own, it's a really nice experience. It's smooth and highly customizable, but until you do, it can feel very heavy. One final criticism of the interface, Honor does say that the Honor 600 Pro plays nicely with Apple devices. That wasn't the case in my experience. While I installed the software on my M1 MacBook Pro, it just didn't play ball, whether I plugged it in or whether I tried to use the Magic Ring, which is Honor's name for how one device talks to another. Long and short, if you're a MacBook user, you might be better off with something like PNY or SanDisk USB key, which is exactly what I used to get files off here onto my MacBook, or just use cloud storage. Another aspect of the Honor 600 Pro that really helps with future-proofing is the 512 gigabytes of storage. It's matched with 12 gigabytes of RAM and a Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset, which means in addition to loads of space for your files, games, etc., you've also got really solid performance. It's last year's flagship chipset, not the latest greatest as found in the Poco F8 Ultra, which is a value unicorn. But nevertheless, I played hours of Wuthering Waves on this thing. It was super smooth at high graphics settings. It didn't get too hot. The screen makes everything look glorious and it's comfortable to hold as well. I really enjoyed performance from this thing. It does throttle, don't get me wrong. Hardcore gamers, you'll definitely benefit from a phone like a Red Magic. You'll get more gaming value for money there. But as an all-round package, the Honor 600 Pro definitely doesn't drop the ball when it comes to performance. I also found the battery life to be excellent on this phone. 6,400 milliamps is what it's rated to, but I found the battery actually in real world use was better than some other phones with 7,000 odd milliamp cells. What that also means is you could probably stretch into 2 days with this thing if you watch your power consumption. I typically got 1 day with around 30 to 40% left in the tank, which is really great going considering I am a power user. Also, you've got 50-watt wireless charging, 80-watt wired charging. It powers up nice and quickly. There is no charger in the box. You'll need an official Honor charger for those high speeds. But as a package, the battery rounds this phone off really beautifully. And all of that is why at £899 at its RRP, the Honor 600 Pro is a tough sell. It really would have to focus in on its camera processing that crushes tonal range, last year's flagship chipset, not this year's, and the fact that Honor's MagicOS is so darn heavy. But at £649, it is much more attractive, especially when you look at the competition. You've got the Oppo Reno 16 Pro, misses out on wireless charging, even if I do prefer Oppo's photo processing. And then you've got the Xiaomi 17T, which also misses out on wireless charging, the 17T Pro, which is a pricier phone. Motorola, a cleaner interface, yes, but with the Edge 70 Pro, you have significantly less power inside. And then the Poco F8 Ultra, actually in its 512 gigabyte version, these two phones go pretty toe to toe. And that's why the 600 Pro after 2 months is probably a better phone than reviewers who first tested it said that it was, because they didn't necessarily have the benefit of time to understand the true value it represented. That's what I think after 2 months with it, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments if you agree. Of course, if you're not already subscribed to Tech Edit, please do. It is where tech gets a more inclusive edit. I've also linked through to accessories featured in this video in the description and pinned comment. Picking one up using the Amazon affiliate link will earn us some commission and help the channel out. And if you're not already following Tech Edit on TikTok and Instagram, please do. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.